Hello, this is Eric B., author of the Night Crusader series, and I would like to thank you again for joining me for yet another episode of Book Talk. Um, what I wanted to do in this episode is expand on what I started in the last episode. In the last episode, I was talking about how the train was was really my a place where I used gained a lot of my inspiration because I spent a lot of time on trains, especially when I was living in Chicago. Not so much since I moved out of Chicago, but I still ride public transportation a lot. So public transportation is still the place where a lot of my inspiration is utilized. One of my philosophies that I have made known on this channel is my philosophy that a writer should have a pen and paper on his or her person at all times. Now, some people might wonder, why a pen and paper? Because there's so many other things that you can do to document your inspiration nowadays. Why pen and paper? And so I would like to talk about that a little bit. I would like to talk to you a little bit about, why I say pen and paper. How come I don't say, like, for instance, your phone? Everybody walks around with a phone nowadays. Everybody has a phone or a tablet, or in some cases even laptops. And the laptops not so much anymore, but sometimes though. But people, walk around with their phone, their tablets, their iPads. How come not one of these? Well, my answer to that question is, you could, put the fate of your inspiration in the hands of these computers that can shut down or freeze up on you for any or no reason. I wouldn't recommend that though, because, and let me explain to you why. Inspiration is like a river. Now, I've been rafting many times. I've been kayaking once or twice. I've been rafting many times. And one thing I've noticed is that every river I've ever rafted on, one thing that all these rivers have in common is they all flow forward. They're always moving forward. The water is always moving you forward. You're never staying still. So when you're on the boat, you're moving forward. If you fall out of the boat, you're still moving forward because the water is pushing you forward. The water never stagnates. It never stays still. It always moves forward. That's how inspiration works in your brain. Why do you think they call it brainstorming? The reason they call it brainstorming is because inspiration flows through your mind the way water flows through a river, the way rain pushes the river, and the rains and the winds and whatnot. Um, um, so what happens is, just like a river always moving forward, the inspiration comes in your mind, it moves through your mind, and then it goes out of your mind. And what your job is as a writer, your job is to get that inspiration down as soon as it hits your mind before it flows out of your mind. Now, what if at that time, what if you have this wonderful, great, awesome idea, and you're ready, and now you're pulling out your phone. Now you're pulling out your phone. Oh yeah, yo, this great idea, this great idea. I gotta hurry up. I gotta hurry up. I gotta type it into my phone, and then that's the moment of all the times of the day. That's the moment that your phone decides to freeze up on you for no reason. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, you don't have time for this. You don't have time for this. The inspiration is moving. You have to get it down now. You don't have time for no freezing up phone, your phone not acting right or doing whatever it's doing things that machines do when they're not doing what you're telling them to do, which they often do, by the way. They often do what you're not telling them to do. And you don't have time for that when you're being inspired. The inspiration is moving through your mind. You have to get it down before it's gone for good. You're going to lose that great idea. You have seconds to get that idea down before you lose it. So I would not recommend. I mean, if you want to, you can go ahead and you go ahead, use your phone, use your tablet, use your other technology. But I would not recommend putting your great ideas and the fate of your great ideas in the hands of technology. Paper and pen is reliable. And by the way, when I say paper and pen, I don't mean one tiny sheet of paper and one pen. I mean you should have a notebook full of paper, or a notepad at least. If all you have is your pocket and you don't have a bag to put it in, then at least a notepad. And you should have three or more pens. I recommend a half dozen pens, but at least three pens. One of them should not be out of ink, at least. Now, Here go another thing you might be thinking. So you might be thinking. So now that I slammed down the relying on technology argument, another thing you might be thinking is, well, then how about my memory? How about my memory? I mean, memory is like a muscle, isn't it? I mean, shouldn't I try to develop my memory? Shouldn't I make my memory so that I could remember better? Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. I still wouldn't recommend that either. And there's two reasons I wouldn't recommend that. Number one is, okay, you can try to develop your memory. I mean, I'm not I don't I'm not going to trust that something like that is going to work for you, especially as far as holding in your inspiration for your art projects. I'm definitely not going to trust it for that. But let's just play devil's advocate here. Let's pretend that, yeah, you can develop your memory. You can develop this super memory by just working on it and just flexing that memory muscle until it becomes strong and you can remember a lot. Okay, so now what? Now you have this great memory. So now when a great idea comes, you won't lose it. You won't lose it. Congratulations, you developed your mind so you won't lose that great idea when it comes. But wait a minute. There's still a flaw in that you might not have thought of. Okay, and what flaw you might be asking? Well, let's go right back to that inspirational river thing. What is a river always doing? It's always moving forward. Now, developing your memory and trapping that great idea in your head so that it won't get out before you get a chance to get it down on paper or your phone or whatnot. Okay, now, see, that is akin to damming up the river. And what happens when you dam up a river? When you dam up a river, the dam stops the water from water from going in or out of that particular part of the river. Oh, that's great. That's great. So all the water, or in this case, inspiration that flows in there is trapped in there. It's not going to get out. Uh, um, um, now, see, I foresee at least two problems with that. At least two problems. And there might be a whole list, but I could think of two right off the bat. Number one, if you have a great idea trapped inside of your great powerful memory, you better hope that no black swan event happens. Like, let's say that somebody suddenly shows up that says something that excites your mind, something that what immediately comes to mind is some news for you that is either extremely wonderful or extremely terrible. Like, let's say it's extremely wonderful news, like, oh, you just got $1,000 pay raise at work. Or let's say if it's extremely terrible news, like somebody you really, really care about just died. If you have some great inspiration trapped in your mind while you're receiving news like that, goodbye. That inspiration is gone. Because once your mind is succumbs to that level of stress, there's no way you're going to hold that great idea in your head. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is as long as you have this great idea dammed up in your head, no other great ideas coming in. This great idea is not going out. That's the good news. But the bad news is no other great ideas coming in. As long as you're trapping this great idea in your head, no other great ideas coming into your head. And trust me, you do not want to. I don't care how great this idea is that's in your head. You do not want to stop other great ideas from coming into your head. So you need to get that idea down on paper so you can get that idea out of your head and get other great ideas into your head. And trust me, the idea that's trying to come into your head that you won't let in because you're too busy holding this great idea in, that idea might be even better. It might be even more awesome. And even if it isn't, even if the next great idea is not is awesome, even if it's less awesome, it might be the idea that ties it all together. You know, like the dude's rug. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of you are big Lebowski fans out there, but you know, like how the dude's rug tied the room together. Yeah, you might come up with the idea that ties all your other ideas together. So don't do that. Don't do the memory thing. Forget the memory thing. I learned a long time ago. Don't trust my memory. Trust my pen and paper. My pen and paper has done far more wonders for me than my memory ever has. So trust your pen and paper, not your memory. Now, sometime in the future, I'm going to elaborate even more on this concept because, boy, I tell you, I literally could go on forever about why you should keep a pen and paper on your person at all times. So for right now, we're just going to call it quits. Please click the link below. Check out the book website for the Night Crusaders series episode below. All the Night Crusaders series books are linked through this website, and all the Night Crusaders series episodes have a free chapter on the website that you can read before you decide whether to buy the book. And thank you for joining me for yet another episode of Book Talk. Come back and join me again. See you very soon.